Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
These are some of the pictures that were taken. This is the swearing in and the first dance with Melania. Here's a picture of the event. Here's a picture of the crowd. Now, the audience was the biggest ever, but this crowd was massive. Look how far back it goes. This crowd was massive. And I would actually take that camera and take your time if you want to know the truth.
I do want to ask you, Mr. President, about this photo right here. I saw this moment on Inauguration Day. I saw you put your hand on President Obama's back there.
Right.
As he boarded Executive One, no longer Marine One. What did you say to him? I saw you smiling.
There is a warmth. Look, if you see that picture, there is a warmth.
There's the warmth. There's the warmth between me and that man that I said was an illegitimate president who was not born in the United States. In fact, he was a Muslim agent from Kenya. There's a warmth. It's so warm between us is what it is. Oh, my God. Did you see that last night? Did you see the David Muir ABC first sit down with the president of the United States, Donald Trump? Did you see that? It was probably the most scary thing I've seen since I've saw, History Channel footage of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This was like we're being attacked from within. I have never been so scared of a presidency in my life. In my life, this man cannot stop talking about size. He's a size queen. He can't stop talking about how presidential he could be if he wants to be. He just doesn't want to be. I mean, he's talking like he's talking to his base, obviously, but everything he says is baseless, which is why his base is clueless. And he keeps repeating these lies. Today, just to catch you up, in case you're in, some sort of a cubicle in some weird way, the president of Mexico canceled, which is what I said yesterday, right? I said, if I were the president of Mexico, my Spanish would be better, but I would cancel this meeting because he is insulting an ally on our southern border. We're not exactly at war with Mexico, okay? We have $1.4 billion worth of trade that goes between the two countries every single day. 6 million jobs in the United States are dependent upon NAFTA, the Mexican part. Okay, 6 million jobs. And all of a sudden, he's threatening with this wall and he's going to pay one way or another. And they're tweeting each other. This is how we do diplomacy now, 140 characters or less to discuss trade agreements. I mean, trade agreements. You know how complex this is? I mean, you're talking tariffs, you're talking, open borders, you're talking about, we'll make this part here, we'll ship it to you, you'll complete the car there, then you'll ship it to us, open borders this way, this is how we do it, and everybody's happy, and we create jobs. It is in our best interest to have a prosperous Mexico, as I think, normal people understand. It keeps immigration way, way down, number one. So anyway, today, so the president of Mexico, Mr. Peña Nieto, canceled his meeting with, Twitler. He canceled it. And Trump had to go, they're on vacation again, Congress. You know that, right? They're on vacation again. Yeah, they're gone. And so they went to their retreats. And there's a Republican one in Philadelphia. And so, of course, President Trump took his first ride in Air Force One, which I'm sure he said, this is a disaster. Where's the gold? What does this button do? Useless. Where's O'Reilly? Where's the TV? Okay, Grandpa got it. Where's my Barca Lounger with the gold, Ungapachka, scroll work on it? Anyway, it turns out that he goes to Philly and he appears at their retreat, drawing attention to the fact that Congress is not in session and not working. Just saying. And he starts telling them that they mutually canceled this meeting. That is not true. And 5 minutes later, he said he slapped a 20% tax on the stuff that comes in from Mexico, starting a trade war with freaking Mexico. Now, he says he's doing this to pay for the freaking wall. Now, I'm going to tell you today why we don't need a wall and why it's a horrendous, stupid, horrific, just a moronic idea. We don't need one. But to waste our money on it is another, another thing we'll get to. But the idea that when our border is completely protected, as you know, we spend, trillions of dollars a year protecting our border. But I got to tell you, that we do have an open border in this way. We have all this trade going on back and forth all day, every day between us and Mexico. They're the second largest customer for our American-made products in the world. The second largest customer. And then 80% of their exports, like cars, we make the parts for. And they also send us flat screen TVs and avocados. I love a Haas avocado. I like because ours suck. I'm just saying. And tomatoes. Things like that. So if he puts an 80% tax on these things coming into America, a 20% tax on things coming into America, you're going to pay 20% more for whatever it costs Mexico to make that flat screen TV, to make that car. You're going to pay. So you're paying for the wall. No matter how you slice it, you're paying for the wall. Okay, I just wanted to tell you to catch you up. So, and he says at this retreat today, we jointly canceled the meeting. No, you didn't jointly cancel the meeting. Peña Nieto, who also is a repressive guy. I mean, he's not. I think his approval rating in his country is like 12%. No one likes him. And part of the reason why no one likes him is because he met with Trump over the summer. So they're tweeting each other last night. Peña Nieto does a 3-minute little video and he sends it to him in Spanish, which I'm sure, our president doesn't speak or understand or, have anybody in the White House that can translate for him. Hence, he might appoint a Supreme Court justice who speaks Spanish. I don't know. We'll see. But it's so strange. He said, I'm not, Mexico doesn't believe in walls. Mexico doesn't believe in, half the crap that you're saying. We're not coming. And then he tells everybody today, we mutually canceled. No, he canceled on you. And you're starting a trade war with Mexico that's going to cost American jobs, American manufacturing jobs that manufacture parts for cars. And what's to say that Mexico doesn't say, oh, yeah, sure, fine. So on all these exports that are coming into Mexico, we'll do a 35% tax. Then no one will be able to afford anything you send us, and it'll become a dead market. This is stupid. But last night with David Muir, I got to tell you, it was like I was watching us be attacked from within. I mean, forget about fake news. This man lives in a fake world. And he's governing our world from there. But this was the opening. Listen to this.
Ever, other than possibly the great Abe Lincoln.
Wait. Don't you get glitchy on me. Don't you. All right, I'll start it here. God. This is why I prefer audio. It's so much easier to manage. Now it doesn't want to play. All right, I'll try this one. Here.
Talk about many of the things that have happened this week. Chicago, last night you tweeted about the murder rate in Chicago, saying, if Chicago doesn't fix the horrible carnage going on, I will send in the feds. You will send in the feds. What do you mean by that?
Carnage.
Carnage.
In my speech, I got tremendous from certain people, the word carnage. It is carnage. It's horrible carnage. Afghanistan is not like what's happening in Chicago.
What?
People are being...
Our president just compared one of the great American cities in the world to Afghanistan. All right. I guess he's talking to a niche, people who have never been to Chicago. I guess it's a niche, he's probably, I would say, the president of Duck Dynasty. Niche programming here, niche programming.
Shot left and right. Thousands of people over a short period of time. This year, which has just started, is worse than last year, which was a catastrophe. They're not doing the job. Now, if they want help, I would love to help them. I will send in what we have to send in. Maybe they're not going to have to be so politically correct. Maybe they're being overly political correct. Maybe there's something going on. But you can't have those killings going on in Chicago. Chicago is like a war zone. Chicago is worse than some of the people that you report and some of the places that you report about every night.
So I will
in the Middle East.
You mentioned federal assistance. There's federal assistance and then there's sending in the feds. I'm just curious, will you take action on your own?
I want them to fix the problem.
Okay, first I got to tell you that Chicago does work with the feds. Okay, they do. The FBI and the CDC and all these federal agencies, they do work with the Chicago law enforcement people there. You know what the problem in Chicago is? Guns. That's the problem in Chicago. Guns. We went over this yesterday. You know who else complained about guns? You know who else said that you want to talk about Mexico? You want to make it about drugs now? I'm seeing the right wing suddenly say, "Oh, this is really the border protect. It's all about the drugs now. It's about the heroin epidemic." Well, first of all, tell the doctors to stop prescribing opiates and stop advertising to people who have opioid addiction, constipation. There's a new drug for that. Have you seen that commercial? If you suffer from opioid-induced constipation, then you need, unjam it. Or whatever it's called, non-jam it, or loosen it up, or fleet enemas, and we'll send them to you if you're on Medicare, completely free in a brown box. No one will know that you're peeing your pants and crapping your pants, or you're not crapping, but you haven't crapped in a month because you're on opioids. I mean, it's so, but it's all about guns. It's all about guns. The former president of Mexico, the one you don't remember, Calderon, remember him? Prior to Peña Nieto? In between Fox, Vicente. Yeah, you don't pay attention. I know. You just like to rail against Mexico, but you don't really have any idea what goes on there. Well, Calderon screamed at George W. Bush about all the guns that are flowing into Mexico that the drug cartels are using. So we don't have these in Mexico. You people are sending them over here illegally. We got this illegal border trade going on. Heroin is coming in over the border, and you're sending out guns. This is stupid. Yeah, but Bush didn't want to do anything to upset the NRA. So I got to tell you, but the same thing is going on in Chicago. Chicago has told Twitler, hey, listen, you got all these guns coming into Chicago, and they're coming in from Indiana. Your vice president, used to be the governor there. What's his solution to all these guns? And the idea that there were 390 murders and 2,600 shootings or whatever, he saw it on O'Reilly, and I'm sure he also saw Rahm Emanuel, who I have no use for. I've had no use for Rahm Emanuel. You want to say, oh, what about the Democrats? Yeah, he sucks. Rahm Emanuel sat on that Laquan McDonald tape for a freaking year, lying about police abuse in his city. So this isn't partisan. I'm not a partisan. I don't give a rat's ass he's a Democrat. Couldn't care less. What I do care about is that there's police corruption in the Chicago Police Department, and that the Justice Department, who obviously was looking at Chicago for police abuse, found that to be true. Same in Baltimore, where you have high murder rates. And there's this crazy gun thing going on there where they're coming in from states that, don't have the same gun laws as Chicago has. They're coming in from Wisconsin, but mostly they're coming in from Indiana. They're coming in from Mississippi. Anyway, Illinois doesn't license or regulate gun dealers. It doesn't require gun registration. It doesn't limit the number of guns that can be sold at one time. So you can mosey on in and you could buy yourself an arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And these are the traceable guns that the ATF, is asked. The federal government is asked to run gun checks, and they say these are guns that came from out of state that were sold at gun shows, or that were sold 100 or 200 at a time. There's no background checks on private sales that aren't conducted at gun shows. What do you want from us? He's talking about sending in the feds because it's a war zone. Well, it's a war zone because people won't cooperate with the police because the police kill innocent people there, like Laquan McDonald. Rahm Emanuel sat on that tape for a year. Everybody who cares about injustice, as far as this kind of police killing innocent people crime, the Black Lives Matter movement, which I care about because they're not wrong, now knows the result of that Justice Department investigation. They got a corrupt police department. They hide half of what they do to their own people. He wants to say it's like Afghanistan, and I want him to fix it. Well, why don't you go talk to Congress at their retreat in Philly and say we need new gun laws? Oh, no. I mean, I want him to fix it without disturbing the NRA. is what I want. I mean, I wasn't talking about. So, they circulate guns that originate outside Illinois throughout the state. As soon as they arrive, that's where the guns come from. He doesn't want to talk about it. Calderon, when he was dealing with the Bush administration on this drug war, he said the same damn thing. He said, you're sending all these freaking Uzis and AKs and all this stuff's coming over the border. What's wrong with you people? You want us to stop, the drug cartels, but you're arming them. This is stupid. This man has no clue, but he's going to compare Chicago to Afghanistan. This is his answer. I want them to fix it. Now we downshift into the Dreamers, and he tells the Dreamers last night, you shouldn't be so worried. I'll give you an answer in 4 weeks about whether or not you're getting deported. True, I'm adding more ICE people who are in charge of deportations. And true, I said that the reason for deportation is, much lower than what I told publicly. I said it would only be criminals. But actually, when you read the executive order, it's people who are charged with anything from jaywalking to a parking ticket. He said, well, don't worry so much.
Is a great city, can be a great city. It can't be a great city if people are shot walking down the street for a loaf of bread. It can't be a great city.
And if they are unable to fix it, that's when you would.
Well, so far they have been unable. It's been going on for years.
Yes, it's called gun crime.
I wasn't president. What's going on? So
gun crime.
All I'm saying is to the mayor, who came up to my office recently, I say you have to smarten up and you have to toughen up. Because you can't let that happen. That's a war zone.
This is a warning.
I want them to straighten out the problem. It's a big problem.
Let me ask you about a new report that you are poised to lift a ban on so-called CIA black sites, prisons around the world that have been used in the past.
This
is that true?
Good.
Well, I'll be talking about that in about 2 hours.
Are you going to lift the ban?
You're going to see in about 2 hours.
Tonight, we are still waiting for word from the Trump White House on any decision involving those so-called black sites.
He lives in his head, which is just it's a jumble of things. I don't know what goes on in there. I don't even want to go on. I mean, as me being me, I'm always cleaning. Okay, Captain Leary knows this. Every night after the show, I clean this whole office. I clean so much.
Takes the coffee cup right out of my mouth.
Right out of his mouth. I take the coffee cup. But what do I do with it?
You refill it.
Thank you. I take his stanky coffee cup that's been sitting there since he walked in, for the show prep earlier in the day. It's ice cold. It's got like, the film around it. You know what I'm saying? And it's ugly. So I take it, I rinse, and I create a delicious coffee drink for him with Dunkin' Donuts extra as a base. Then I pour in some nice fresh hot coffee, and then I top it off with another shot of extra, the Dunkin' Donuts, which he loves.
My favorite.
And then I dump his trash, right? And then I clean the coffee maker. Then I clean the toilets. Then I clean I have to recycle all my paper because I deforest North Carolina every single day printing out. Okay, and then I go into we have another little sitting area. I go in there and I put makeup on in there. And I take all my tissues and my Q-tips and I throw those. Okay? If I saw what went on inside Trump's head, I'd want to clean it, and I would never, ever be done. It's such a mess in there. What the man is doing is he is repeating stats and statements from Fox News verbatim right after they air, because when you lie as much as he does, you need a steady stream of material. And he's sitting. Oh, and this was really sad during this whole thing about this interview. David Muir actually asked him, isn't it lonely in the White House? I mean, your wife isn't with you. She's in New York, doing things and busy doing things without you. And Ivanka is off unpacking her house, and only Jared has an office, and he goes home at the end of the day. And so you're sitting here all by yourself. Isn't it lonely? It's like, no, it makes me work harder. Oh, bullcrap. This man is sitting in his some Barca lounger there, watching television and tweeting and governing from there. I mean, this is just insane. This is amazing.
Clear. 4.
Go to RandyRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.